Welcome back from the ad break, and let's continue with our lesson. Now we are going to be looking at some application questions. So let's get to it. So our first question here says that AIDS ribbons are made by coloring in the circles. So as we can see in our diagram, we have the first pattern there, the second pattern, the third pattern, and the fourth pattern. And we are required to color in patterns 5 and 6. So before we can do that, we need to identify what exactly is going on with our patterns. So let's look at the first pattern there. And when we look at the circles that are being colored in, let's look at the top there. So we have 1, 2 circles that are being colored in there. And when we move on to the pattern number 2, we actually have now 3 circles that are being colored in. When we move on to pattern number 3, we have 4 circles that are being colored in, and pattern number 4 has 5 circles that are being colored in. So that's only when we are looking at the circles that are on top. But it's not only the circles that are on top that we can look at, but also the ones that are forming the actual ribbon, the cross there. So let's go back to pattern number 1. Remember, we said it had 2 colored in at the top, but if you look going down there on the side, we have another 2 and another 2 there. Then we have 1 in the middle, and then we have 2 and 2 again, and that forms now the whole ribbon. The same thing is happening for pattern number 2 and pattern number 3. Let's look at pattern number 4 then. Remember, in pattern number 4, we said we had 5 going across. So when we look at the ones that are slanting, we have 5 going down like that. And then we also have another 5 going down like that. Then we have 1 in the middle, and then going down we have 5 again and 5 again. Now, noticing these patterns, because this is happening each time with pattern 1, 2, 3, and 4. Noticing these patterns is going to help us now so that we can color in pattern number 5 and pattern number 6. Remember, pattern number 4 was how many circles that were colored in? 5 of them. So let's see with pattern number 5. So we are going to need to color in 6 of them. So looking at that pattern there, that's 2, 4, 6, and that's where I'm going to stop. So as you can see, I have colored in there 6 of them. Then we are going to go down from that one, and that also needs to be 6 of them. So that's going to be 2, 4, and 6, and I'm going to stop there. I'm going to start again at the top. We are going to go from that one and count 6 going slightly down or diagonally. So that's going to be 2, 4, and 6. And that's where I'm going to stop. Remember, we had that 1 in the middle there, and there it is. And then I'm going to continue going down. How many circles are we going to color in? That is going to be 2, 4, 6, and that's where we're going to stop. The same way on the right-hand side, that's going to be 2, 4, and 6. And that is now a continuation of this AIDS ribbon that is continuing there. Right, let's look at pattern number 6, and that would be, now remember in pattern number 5, we colored in 6 circles. So in pattern number 6, we are going to color in 7 circles. So we are going to start there with the first one, and as I move across, remember I need to count 7 circles, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's where I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to go down. So moving from that circle there, I'm going to move 7 down, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's where I am going to stop. I'm going to do the same thing on the right hand side, moving 7 down. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Remember, there's 1 in the middle, so we are going to keep that one, and then we are going to continue with our ribbon going again 7 down. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then again, we are going to move 7 down on the right hand side, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is our pattern 6. And remember how we figured out how many circles to shade in for the next pattern? Remember, in the first diagram, we noticed that there were 2 circles on top, and that led us to see that there are 2 circles that form the cross for the ribbon. So how many sets of 2s did we have there? So we had the 2 at the top, the 2 on the sides, and the 2 again on the sides with the 1 in the middle. So those in total are 5 sets of 2s. So we can say there that we actually had 5 sets of 2s and we added the 1 in the middle. That is the same now for the second one. If you look, we said we had 3 on the top, and that led us to see that we have 3 going down like that and another 3 going down like that with the 1 in the middle, and we have another 3 and another 3. So how many sets of 3s are those? Those again are 5 sets of 3s, and we add the 1 in the middle. Can you see that we are now forming an equation for this pattern? So what would it be for the nth term? All we need to do is identify how many of them do we have on the top. We know that's going to be the same number that is going to be going down towards the 1 in the middle. So for the nth term, which we know would be Tn, how would we figure that out? We know it's going to be 5 sets of. Now let's look at the first one. For the first pattern, it was 2. So it was 5 sets of 2. For the second pattern, it was 5 sets of 3. For the third pattern, it would be 5 sets of 4. So now what is happening between the term number and the number of colored in circles? It would be now we take the nth term and we add 1. We take the term number and we add 1. And after we've multiplied that result with 5, we continue again to add 1. So if somebody were to ask you that, how many dots would the circle with maybe 50 dots going across colored in, how much would that have? We know that that would be our 5 multiplied by the 50. We add 1 to that 50, and that's what we multiply the 5 with. And from that result, or from that product, we are going to add 1 again. And that would be the number of colored in circles that are in to form that ribbon that first had 50 dots going across. Let's move on to the next question. So we've been given a pattern here. Let's find the algebraic equation for the following pattern. So we are given here 0, 3, 8, and 15. Let's look at the difference between these numbers. What pattern is going on here? So we have here the first term and the second term. So we are going to say 3 minus 0, and that gives us a 3. And then we have 8 minus 3, which gives us a 5. And then again, we have 15 minus 8, and that gives us a 7. Now, if we look at the differences there, we can see that they are not constant. But this pattern should remind us of another one that perhaps you have done before, and that is 1, 4, 9, and 16. So what do you notice about this pattern that I have here on the side and this one that we are working with now? Do you remember what was going on in this particular pattern? If you remember correctly, we were just squaring the term number. So 1 squared was 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, and 4 squared is 16. And that pattern could continue as well. So the same thing is happening here, but can you see what is the connection between the two? Yes, if you are thinking that we just subtract 1 from this pattern to get the pattern that we've been given here, then you would be absolutely correct. This means that we would say here it would be n squared minus 1. And if we need to test if this formula is correct, let's take the fourth term, for example. Now, our fourth term would be 4 squared minus 1. That would give us 16 minus 1, and we know that 16 minus 1 is going to give us 15. And if you check, that is the value of our fourth term. So it means that the algebraic equation for this pattern is Tn is equals to n squared minus 1. Let's move on to the next question. Now, given the following algebraic rule, find the first 3 terms, that should be 3, find the first 3 terms of the numeric pattern and the 15th term of this pattern. So we are going to now have negative n squared. So we are going to take the first term. That is going to be a negative 1 squared. 1 squared is 1, and my first term would be a negative 1. If we move on to the second one, still, it's a negative, and we are going to square that 2. So that is going to be 2 squared is 4. Our answer is going to be a negative 4. Then we go over to the third term. That is going to be a negative 3 squared. And that is going to give us a negative 9 as our answer. What about the 15th term? We are going to do the same thing, negative, and we are just going to square the positive 15, and that is going to give us a negative 225 as our answer. Let's move on to the next question. So now we are given the following algebraic rule: find the next 3 terms and then the 10th term. So here, if we notice that the n, or the term number, is in a position of an exponent, so we are going to apply that now. For the first term, it's going to be 3 exponent 1, because we are working with the first term, and the answer there is going to be our 3. For the second term, it's going to be 3 exponent 2, and that is going to be 9, because 3 squared is 9. Then for the third one, it's going to be 3 exponent 3, and that is going to be 27, because 3 cubed is 27. What about the 10th term? This is going to be 3 exponent 10. And what is 3 exponent 10? Our answer there is going to be 59,049. And that is going to be the answer for the 10th term. Let's move on to the next one. Now we have 10 multiplied by 2, and as an exponent, it's going to be the term number. So the first one is going to be 10 multiplied by 2 exponent 1. That is 10 multiplied by 2, and the answer there is 20. The second one is going to be 10 multiplied by 2 exponent 2. And the answer there, now we know that 2 exponent 2 is 4. So that is going to be 10 multiplied by 4, which is going to be 40. And then we have 10 multiplied by 2 exponent 3. Now 2 exponent 3 is equals to 8. So that is 10 multiplied by 8. And our answer there is 80. What about the 15th term? That is going to be 10 multiplied by 2 exponent 15. Now 2 exponent 15 is equals to 32,768. And if we multiply that by 10, that is going to give us an answer of 327,680 as our final answer. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one here is a set of pictures that we've been given, and we need to continue with this pattern. So the first one has 1 dot or 1 circle. The second one, the number of circles. This should be circles, not triangles. So the first one is 1 circle. Then the next one we have 3 circles. And then the next one we have 6 circles. And the next one we have 10 circles. So what is happening here? If I represent this in a table, so the first one is 1, the second one is 3, the third one is 6, and the fourth one is 10 circles. So how many circles do you think the next one is going to have? If we look at the difference here, the difference between the first one and the second one is just 2. The difference between the second one and the third one is 3. And the difference between the third one and the fourth one is 4. So the difference between the fourth one and the fifth one is going to be 5. So that means that our next picture is supposed to have 15 circles. So if we are going to represent those circles, then they are going to be 15 of them. And as you can see in the picture that I am drawing, the next picture would look something like that with 15 circles. Let's look at the next one, which is similar to the one that we just did, but with different shapes. So if we look at the first, we are now looking at the number of cubes. So if we look at the first stage there, we have only 1 cube. But if we look at the second stage, it's actually that 1 plus 2 cubes, which is going to give us 3 cubes in total. When we look at the third stage, it's going to be the 1 cube plus 2 cubes plus 3 cubes. So 1 plus 2 plus 3, that gives us a total of 6 cubes. Moving on to stage 4, that is going to have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And in total, that is going to give us 10 cubes. What do you think is going to be in stage 5? If you are thinking of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, then you are absolutely correct, which is going to give us 15 cubes in total. And what about the 6th stage? Yes, you are correct. We are going to say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, because now we are at the 6th stage, and that is going to be 21 cubes in total. Let's quickly go to an ad break and then we'll see you just now.